This is the Final Word Cricket Podcast. It's the Daily. It's England, India. It's Adam Collins. Yes, that's right. After 16 days away, it's Adam Collins. I'm in London. Jeff Lemon's in Jamaica. He's going to tell you about a stunning day's Test cricket for New Brew, the Think Drink, newbrew.com/final word, 15% off in the space of 30 seconds. Go.
Well, it was scores level at the start of proceedings. 387 both teams made in the first innings, so it was what could England make, and they weren't quite sure how to go about it. They were a bit Bazball-y at the start. They were a bit less Bazball-y after they'd lost 4 wickets for not many, throwing the bat around. Root and Stokes stabilised for a while, and then Washington Sundar came into his own 4 for 22 as they lost 6 for 35, wrapped England up for 192. Looked like it should be India's for the taking, but they're 4 wickets down at stumps for 58. Game on.
What a day's Test cricket. First of all, housekeeping. We'll come to why I'm hosting the show, maybe in the Hall of Fame or something like that, because, yes, me being away for 16 days when I've probably not been away for, like, more than 6 days in 5 years is a little bit odd. So it requires some explanation, but we'll come to that. And we're recording this. I like to timestamp these things sometimes with other things. It's fifth set starting between Sinner and Alcaraz at Wimbledon, which in ordinary circumstances, Jeff, across my 40 years being alive, there is nothing that would take me away from watching that. But recording with you is taking me away from that. So it frames everything up nicely. And the reason I'm very keen to talk about today is what an extraordinary day, match, series. I don't know about you. Maybe this is just nostalgia because we've hit an anniversary. You know what it's like with anniversaries and you start thinking more and more about it. But I reckon this series has got 2005 Ashes vibes about it. Just as far as like just how extraordinary the run scoring has been at different points, how outstanding the fast bowling has been at different points. I'm thinking Akashdeep last week. I'm thinking some of what we've seen at different points in the series. Jasprit Bumrah, of course, a couple of days ago. And now the way the series is so perfectly poised. I mean, I don't know what WinViz says at the moment, but this test is probably a coin toss right now with 135 runs to get, 6 wickets away, England with their tail up as we start day 5. This has got all the ingredients for a series that's going to go all the way down the stretch, 2-all heading into the 5th at the Oval. And yeah, I just feel that special gold dust right now. You don't get it too often in Test cricket where a series can leave you thinking that this could be an all-timer. And I reckon this has got all the ingredients right here. I hope tomorrow is like a 1 wicket or a 1 run finish to bolster that point yet further.
I reckon what you're saying and what chimes with me is that there have been so many points already where a match should go a certain way.
Yeah.
The expectation is it's going to go that way, and then something curves and something else happens. And so you end up going back and forth several times over the course of the game as to who's winning it, who's on top. You know, England with that huge chase, and then the fact that, you know, they should have been the buoyant team in the second test, but it's India who come back and win that with some extraordinary run-scoring feats. Then everyone's saying Shubman Gill is Bradman, he's going to make 974, and he's made 16 and 6 in this test and hasn't had an influence. You know, I think the only thing that sort of has gone to expectation is that Bumrah has been Bumrah in that he's been brilliant at times, but there have also been spells where he hasn't taken wickets. You know, there have been spells where they've been able to keep him out. He had his say in the end today, but, you know, bowled well early, but wasn't involved in the wicket takers with the rest of India's seamers being involved in those first 4 wickets.
Yeah, that's a much better way of putting it. It's been the expect the unexpected series so far. So long may that continue. But yeah, 135 away when you're 4 wickets into the 4th innings, especially the way Jeff, maybe start at the end. Talk us through those 4 wickets from your perspective and how it's put India into a pretty tough spot when they return tomorrow morning.
Well, this is the interesting part, right? Because India, they've done so well. They've contained from the point where, you know, Root and Stokes might have been able to get that lead to 250 plus and make it quite difficult on a pitch that looks increasingly difficult to bat on. You've had balls keeping low. There've been a fair bit of seam movement, a lot of balls past the outside edge, particularly early in the day. So there's that new ball danger. And India wasn't shaken up by the new ball. They lost Jaiswal early, who played a horrible pull shot. It was such a strange shot to see from Jaiswal. He was so late on it from Archer, and he was reaching so far outside off stump. And it always gives me the heebie-jeebies when I see an opener, well, anybody reaching outside off stump to try to drag it to leg.
In his head? I kind of looked at it. I was watching it live. In his head, that's the worst shot Jaiswal's played in Test cricket, right?
Probably.
He's obviously an extraordinary talent. He's
Oh,
I mean, you've got to go a long way to find bigger fans of Yashasvi Jaiswal than you and me.
He's a superstar.
Of course, there's
particularly
extra
his
yard
offside play.
Yeah, extra yard Archer. But what happened in the first innings, how it's informed the second innings, and a young player trying to assert himself back in that contest right away and having an absolute mare, and that opens the door.
I reckon, Kumar Sangakkara said on the commentary that it pointed out how much time he'd spent at short leg while they were in the field and wondered whether that might be a factor. And it did occur to me that if because you're concentrating in those close positions, if you're a fielding captain, should it be a consideration that you get your openers out of really intense fielding positions for, at least once the opposition's 6 or 7 down to let them try to go into the next innings fresh?
Well, it's always the argument for test keepers not being openers, right? It's a good point. I hadn't really thought of it in those terms, but it's one thing to field at first slip, but in first slip, the nature of that position is you have company and you have the ability to switch off in other ways. There are rhythms to switching off at first slip. Under the lid, it's a bit lonely, especially when everyone's 25 metres away. I think that's a good point. If you I mean, I know that, young bloke in the team, he's taken some great snaffles in close, but it's worth consideration whether that might have contributed to him having that brain explosion right away.
And even the physical strain of it, you're doing like what a keeper does. You're crouching, you're coming up with, you've got to do those squats basically as the bowler's coming in. But so there is that moment, but you sort of expect one to fall early. And then there's KL Rahul doing what he's been doing for a while, which has been the fire blanket. And then there's Karun Nair, who was basically picked to be the grown-up in the room. Now that mum and dad had left with Rohit and Kohli gone, they needed at least a babysitter, at least a sort of qualified older cousin or something who could come in and do that job. And he did that job for a time. So they just kind of took the temperature down. They get
He's on the WhatsApp groups. He's on the WhatsApp groups. His dad's in the WhatsApp group saying, my kid needs a bit of part-time work. He'll do it for £5 an hour. We'll put them to bed beforehand. They'll go to, you know what? You can even use my Deliveroo account. You can have the credit card of Deliveroo. You can get yourself a feed. You won't have to pay for tea. We'll give you £5 an hour. You can do a bit of study. You won't have to see the kids. We'll be home by 10:30, maybe 11. And if it's 11, I'll buy you a beer before you go home, kind of thing. That's what Karun Nair's position is.
Right, but then there's in those babysitting situations for the rich family, there's a moment when maybe you make an error of judgment. Like maybe you think, I might see if I can turn the sauna on, or maybe you think I might just my pants are chafing me.
My shirt's chafing me.
Or you think like, well, maybe I'll just take this expensive bottle of brandy out and I'll just pour a little nip and then it slips and you drop it. Like, and that point for Karun Nair is when he sees a straight ball coming in at him and goes, I think I might leave this alone, and it crashes into his pads. It was an inexplicable leave. So he's LBW to cast, and then Gill comes in with all of the tension, all the back and forth, all of the bickering that's been going on between him and England, and then he's nailed on the pads by cast, better delivery, one that seamed in. He's out for 6, and then they've got the night watchman out there, Akashdeep, and they're playing the silly buggers like they were with Crawley last night, with Akashdeep trying to do some time wasting and trying to run it into the last over. He gets it into the last over, and then 4 balls into that final over, bowled by Stokes, of course, moves away a bit, takes off stump. So the 4 down includes the night watch, so it means punt and KL Rahul will resume, 135 to win. India should still win it.
Oh, yeah.
They've got Reddy, Jadeja, Washington, Sundar to come, but if a wicket falls early, who knows?
They bat deep. Don't worry about that. They bat deep. It's an above the shoulders chase from here. Cliched as it is, tricky chase, and just under 200 and that type of thing. What was the victory target? It's 193. Isn't it?
192, 193. Yeah.
Scores were level on the first innings, which is one of those lovely quirks.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a batter walk on an LBW. How's this? Since the last time the scores were level at Lords in a test match back in 2019 when Steve Smith walked, when he left a ball go off Chris Wokes from the same end, and we saw that with Karun Nair.
At least Karun Nair didn't send it up.
He left it, walked off and sent it upstairs. Karun Nair had the good decency to realise these reviews have currency. Yeah. They're worth something.
Yeah,
they're not like NFTs.
It's not one for each opener and one for Steve Smith like it is in the Australian team.
It's not like the Ben Stokes NFTs, which I doubt have got any value these days, or whatever the ICC were flogging a couple of years ago. Digital hallways and all of that. But yeah, so that was it. And yeah, I think I admire that Bryden Cass had a say here. The easy narrative to have slipped into a couple of days ago, God knows I did on WhatsApp, was that Jofra's back. Jofra's quick. He didn't take a bag in the first innings, but boy, he looked like on another day with a sniff to a luck he would have. And it sort of sets Cass and to Stet Atkinson, although they perform a different role, in a different light when Archer's about and when Mark Wood's about, and then Cast to get the ball decking away and showing that he's more than just a brute. He's more than just a big South African who wangs it down. He's got some skills about him as well. So I was really happy for Bryden Cast to have a say there. And of course, Rahul is 33 not still there, but he was put down in the follow-through of Chris Wokes, which it wasn't the toughest caught and bowled ever, but much as it is with catching in the slips. It's never easy in your follow-through as a quick, but it was probably on the easier side.
Easier end, yeah.
If
you're going to get one, you want one roughly there. The only thing is it was a little wide of him. It was kind of waist height, and if it had been a bit straighter, I'm sure he takes it, but he had to reach his hands out wider. And so I think he wasn't actually looking at the ball. I think he'd sort of lost track, the line of sight of the ball had gone wide of him just at the last moment, so it skewed through his hands. So and KL Rahul being there, probably if you want anyone to be there at the moment, given the nature of the chase. If they were chasing 350, you'd want Gill to still be there, but if they're chasing 130, you probably want KL Rahul there.
A seed from Stokes to get Akash, by the way. That gets many better players out than that, straightening the other way and hitting off stump to end the day's play. I thought Jofford bowled that last over. Just kind of thought, vibes-wise, bring Archer back and see what's what.
Super over.
Yeah, more just like Lords feels alive when he's bowling right now, but Stokes has bowled commendably when he's turned to himself, as it were, some long spells, as you'd imagine from him through the series so far, and still has that ability to swing the ball. A lot made of Stokes' endurance and pace, but less spoken of with him is that he's still a very capable swing bowler. He took a bag of 6 at Lords back in 2017, which was hooping it round corners to the Windies, one famously at Trent Bridge, another bag of 6 back in 2015, a test that decided the Ashes, where he was immense in that second innings in the gloom of Nottingham. So he's still got that club in the bag, and that last ball today was a beauty to get rid of Akashdeep.
Yeah. So if we go back to the start of the day, perhaps, I've just found it so interesting watching England trying to figure out how to go about batting. They have that just absolutely dunderheaded end to the second test where they just kept going after the ball when there was no point whatsoever. And then they come to Lords and go at 3 and over through their first innings and getting chipped by Shubman Gill for it and all of the rest of it. And then there was that indecision today, or maybe that was the plan. Well, the top few can have a go, and if it doesn't work, then there's Root and Stokes to be the firewall. But it was interesting how it happened. Duckett, aggressive, pulling, skews it up to mid-on. He gets caught. Crawley, big drive at Reddy, caught in the gully. Zach Crawley getting out to Nitish Kumar Reddy twice in a test match. It's not, Reddy's a decent bowler, but it's not the guy he should be getting out twice. And Jaiswal actually hung on to one in the gully, which has been kind of unusual for him. And then Harry Brook, that weird sort of lap sweep shot where he comes across his stumps to Akashdeep and tries to sort of flip it down through fine leg and loses his stumps. 12 England players bowled in the test match, I think, which is not quite a record, but it's pretty close to a record. And then in and amongst that, Ollie Pope's out, more garden variety, LBW on review, with Siraj bowling. So 4 for 87, and then they walk it back. It's kind of funny that when they need to not Baz ball, it's often Stokes who has to be the not Baz bowler. He's the one who he and Root are the ones who have the variety in their games and the temperament to be able to slow it down without it freaking them out, which some of the others don't seem to have.
Yeah, I think it was 7 bowls and a leg before today. Just to back over that Harry Brook dismissal, it's that thing where, remember a couple of years ago, or maybe a little while more than that now, actually, come to think of it, when Root was doing the reverse ramp quite a bit, and it was when it comes off, we celebrate it, and when it doesn't come off, it just looks so ugly. You want to go all the way back to Mike Gadding in the '87 World Cup final, right? Like there's a rationale to what's going on there.
Yep.
If you nail it, genius. If you fuck it up, you are seen as a negligent cricketer. That's kind of what happened to Brook today, right? Because he gets 2 away. Then they bring fine leg up inside the circle. They encourage him to hit square. Well, he tries to hit square, and to that point, the keeper's up to the stumps. So there's he's expecting it to be fuller anyway, rather than short. And, as you see, middle stump emphatically taken out of the ground. It hit the middle.
Behind the legs while he's kneeling outside off stump.
Yeah, one of 2. And England's 2 best batters get out bowled around their legs today. Joe Root, the other, included in the 7. And we'll come to the important work of Washington Sundar, who picked up 4 for 22. Outstanding figures there at Lords a little bit later. But, earlier on, you could see what Duckett and Crawley were attempting to do, which is, it's what they do, right? It's what they've often done. Although Crawley never really got out of second gear, I don't think, by his standards, but Duckett early on, a couple of boundaries, and then Duckett, objectively a soft dismissal. I loved Siraj getting up and about. I know he nearly kind of, hip and shouldered him like Burton on Van der Haar in the 89-second semi, but the way in which he went all the way up to it. Rabada and Smith probably a better example for those watching.
Just brushed
podcast.
him, yeah.
Kind of got to the contest.
You got to watch out for that. You can't touch. You've got to be careful.
You might be in trouble. Who knows? But you know what?
There was a little sleeve contact, I think.
Yeah, Siraj looks old now, right?
Yeah.
Like Siraj historically, we've thought him of as almost like a boyish fast bowler. Youthful. Yeah. Probably
he's Tiggerish, he bounds around and he gets stroppy sometimes, but he has the big smile a lot of the time. But yeah, he's really getting into people these days. And
he's putting on age in his face. Like he's becoming a big, burly, bustling fast bowler of the old school variety. And I'm into it. This is like the Mohammad Siraj Eras tour. We've got first album 2020. Actually, first album was always widely bowled in an IPL game that I was commentating on many years ago, but then which lost a game when he was like probably a teenager. Then those 70 wickets for India, when he built up that body of work at first class level. Yeah,
2020 is red. That's his red. His equivalent of red. Where he's he's younger. He's full of enthusiasm. And then there's his 1989. He's a bit more jaded. And
you'd want to get this right. You'd want to get. We've had Imogen Atkinson into you before. One of our the daughters of one of our patrons, David Atkinson, has called you up when you got Taylor Swift stuff wrong, Jeff.
I didn't get it wrong. We just had a healthy discussion about our interpretation of certain songs and how they corresponded to certain players in the batting order.
No, fair enough. But yeah, I like the fact that he's hit the point now where he's gnarly, picking up too early, blowing off pads Pope.
He's doing his own thing. This is his Taylor's version era because he's like, no, I want ownership of my material.
Yeah,
I want my masters back. I'm going to do it my way. And I think this is his Taylor's version series.
I think we've done
the fact when Bumrah's not there, Siraj bowls so well in that second test, and the fact that he and Akash win the second test without Bumrah, that's huge for them. That's vindication for those two to say we're not a one bowler team. We've got the skills to do this.
There was a comment on TMS at lunch from Simon Mann who said something like, Zach Crawley, he said something like, Crawley caught Jaiswal bowled ready. I'm not going to describe how he got out. You can probably just work it out for yourself, or something like that, which was so Simon Mann. It was he didn't use those exact words, but that was the guts of his sentence. It was perfectly droll, Simon, in describing that moment. So we'll save the Crawley chat for the young fellas. I think when they're next on the show, they've got stronger views on this than I do. But either side of lunch, it kind of felt like things did settle down to a certain extent, courtesy of Root getting into a nice little groove and batting as well as he did in the first innings, picking up from where he left off. Yep. And what felt to be a really important innings from Stokes as it was playing out, again, because he had to drop the anchor and only hit 3 boundaries in his 33, was out there for an hour and a half, even longer, maybe 2 hours Stokes batted for.
Faced nearly 100 balls with 3 fours. You wouldn't see that very often. But then I think that plays a part in him getting out as well. But that's after. So Root goes for a sweep, bowled behind his legs. He made 40. This is when Washington Sundar comes into it. And so his 4 wickets, all 4 of them bowled. Right, and I'm watching the replays in my head. I think I could safely say all 4 of them clean bowled. I don't reckon there were any deflections on the Root. Did the Root one? Through. Root one didn't clip pad. Stokes was straight through. Bashir was straight through, and Jamie Smith was just groping at one that went straight past him. I mean, it was beautiful bowling. Now we've talked about Kuldeep Yadav a lot and whether he should be in this team, and I'd love him to be in this team because I like watching him bowl. Maybe he would have done something similar. He might have taken a bag as well. We don't know, but there's Washington, he made useful runs in the first innings, not a huge score, but something important to try to get them to parity to the position they've been in. And then it was just such good bowling for the conditions. It was smart. It was relentlessly at the stumps, but at a length that wasn't drivable. And so he was just able to, he just kept annoying them. And I reckon ahead of the 4 wickets, there's a point where Archer's bowling with Bashir, and he's trying to get off strike. He's trying to, there's that sort of in-out field, and it's the last ball of the over, and Washington bowls it into the pitch hard at the stumps with some bounce, so it gets up to about bail height by the time it reaches Archer, and all he can do is defend it, and he sort of slaps his pad as he walks off because there's nothing he could do to try to score off that ball. He didn't feel safe trying to score off that delivery. I think that dot ball sums up how well Washington bowled, as well as the wickets he took.
Yeah, as a reminder with finger spin that you've got one more variable at your disposal. It's pace. So, it takes a bit to bowl Joe Root around his legs. At 94 kilometres an hour, that's the different variable. Root's one of the all-time great players of finger spin. We saw that from some epic performances in the subcontinent a few years ago. So, and then for Smith, he beats him on the outside edge at 99 kilometres an hour. Now, purists would say spinners shouldn't be bowling anywhere near that quickly. They'd be criticised for bowling that quickly. But you watch the release point, it looks the same as his standard off break, which would be in the sort of high 80s to 90 kilometres an hour. And it looks no different when he lets the ball go. So he must have bloody strong wrists and control with his fingers of pushing the ball through at that extra pace and being indistinguishable to a player like Smith, who's been in red hot form and hitting the top of his off stump, the stuff you dream of as a finger spinner, doing them on the other edge. And when he gets Stokes, Stokes kind of slams the bat on the ground. I think it's a sign of once again, he's been beaten by spin, which has been a theme in the last couple of years, and a fourth bowled, as you say, as well, to finish with that immaculate analysis. And I know occasionally, Jeff, you and I have bemoaned them not picking both Ashwin and Jadeja in sequence and thinking that surely there's enough latitude to play two extraordinarily capable and effective all-rounders in all conditions. How about the other bloke, Washington Sundar? He's been a very dependable ally for either of Ashwin or Jadeja over the years, and probably now in Ashwin's absence, he'll get the chance to be at his absolute best at what should be the best time of his career as a finger spinner, because historically they're at their best in their early 30s, and he was that's a marker today for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Stokes against spin that you were mentioning, and I think his batting in general, he looks so good with the ball in this series. He's looks revitalised with the ball, and he's been really important. He has those moments like the run out in the field, but there's all of this talking up of Stokes as this player of great innings, but he's played a few great innings, but he hasn't played one for a long time. His last hundreds a couple of years ago at Lords, and then if you go back to 2019, his miracle summer in those 6 years since, he's made a couple. He's always talked up as he makes hundreds in the big games. He's made a couple of Test hundreds against West Indies, a couple against South Africa. He's been very average with the bat for quite a while. So it's a point for England that they're not getting huge value out of him in terms of runs. He can play those innings like today where he can stick it out for a while, but we haven't seen him do anything really, to really influence an important Test match in a long time with the bat.
And yet, I wouldn't doubt that if this goes 2-2 into the Oval, it'll be Stokes who'll be the last man standing. He's got that incredible aura, doesn't he? That only very special cricketers have. I think the only thing that I'm missing here is to say that Jasprit Bumrah had another bail trimmer and another unplayable Yorker today. Even on a day when he's not that influential, he still has two remarkably beautiful moments.
This was, this bit. So Washington's gone through those three. He's got Root, he's got Smith, he's got Stokes, who hit his third boundary and then got so excited by that, I think, that he wanted to hit a fourth and aimed a huge slog at Sundar really and just couldn't make contact. But then, the Bumrah intervention, they found Bryden Cast annoying. He's belted runs off them a couple of times in a row. Comes in this gorgeous Yorker that hits middle stump that burrows under the bat, incredible pace, that angle that Bumrah gets even when he's coming over the wicket into the right-handers. And then the Chris Woakes ball is fucking outrageous. I've watched that back, 15 times. And maybe the inward movement looks slightly exaggerated because there might be a little inside edge on it. It's quite hard to tell on that replay. But the amount that it seemed in even before that might happen, this is to Chris Woakes. So right-hander, it's over the wicket, it's wide on the crease. It pitches so wide. It pitches somewhere where a ball that should be cut is going to pitch. Yeah. And then instead of carrying on that line, it jags in on, I don't know I'd like someone to calculate the degrees of movement. It feels like more like 15 than 3 or something. Yeah. The inward movement's extraordinary, and it goes past or maybe just brushing that edge and into middle stump from what felt like a metre wide of the crease. It's absurd bowling.
It's like your daily reminder that Jasprit Bumrah is the greatest bowler we've ever seen. It's every time he has a bowl, that's it. That's again another reminder that yes, he's the best bowler we've ever seen in our lives, and and long may his success continue. Jeff, I think are probably in a good position to start pivoting towards our Hall of Fame. Yes. We'll do it via a conversation about the Think Drink, about New Brew. Now, I've been waiting to talk about New Brew for what feels like weeks because I've been away for so long, and obviously we were in the Caribbean before that and wasn't doing this series. But newbrew.com/final word for 15% off. I've been dunking a perfectly peach from the advantage
as we record. Yeah, I know.
As we record,
I picked up on that.
Nearly all the way through. I've got to say, I've had a tough couple of weeks, and a lot of this is on Discord for those who are members of the Final Word over there on Patreon. With my having gotten ill in the West Indies and that having a knock-on effect, unfortunately, with picking up a virus in my voice box, which is desperately annoying. I'm on the mend. There's no point going. I am a lot better. It's just going to take a while for the infection to completely dissipate, and steroids are helping with that and all the rest of it. But it's been a tough fortnight for me to stay on top of things. And New Brew, I've no doubt, has helped me stay where I need to be, because it can knock your confidence, and it can knock your your state of being when you're unable to communicate with other human beings. And New Brew has been a more than, I don't know, I drink so much of the stuff 2 or 3 times a day. I'm so glad that we're in partnership with them. Jeff, take it away.
Well, yeah, the idea is to sharpen up your mental focus, your acuity. That's what the basic, the default New Brew product, which is the Advantage, does. I was thinking that you might be better off going for the Lucid at the moment, because that's the one they encourage you to take before sleep. So it's about trying to find ingredients that are going to help your brain do the thing that you want it to do. And in this case, that's relax. So ingredients like chamomile and passion flower and lemon balm that have a bunch of studies about them that indicate that they're useful for relaxation and rest, to try to wind you down towards the end of a day, that sort of thing. The thing that I find useful with the New Brew, the way it's laid out, is that you can go to the website, you can find all of the ingredients that they list in it, and you can look into those for yourself, so you don't need to take their word for it. You can find out why they've formulated things in this way, and why each of the different products they have is specifically formulated for a different purpose.
Outstanding. That's newbrew.com/final word. A lot more about them across the next couple of months on the Final Word. Back in a moment with the Hall of Fame. It's Final Word Daily. Adam Collins. It's about the time in any general conversation that I stop being able to talk again. So I won't have much more to say in this episode, Jeff, but we have a Hall of Fame to get to. I'll go first. Washy on Sky after play. First question, how are you going to go? We're definitely going to win, probably in the first session tomorrow, which I absolutely loved. He's got a bit of spunk about him, Washington Sundar. And sticking with Sky, something on the coverage today, Ben Stokes being hit in the box, went on 7. I mentioned his 2019 Ashes Test match at Lords, when he was hit in the box and yelled out, "Oh, me dick." And he did it again today. Me dick, as he hit the deck. So nice. Yeah. I wonder if that was a homage to all of the memes that did the rounds at the time, and he saw a chance to. It was a callback, rather.
It's very old school. It's very kind of, I don't know, Dickensian or something. There's something of the dialect about it. Like he's one of Captain Ahab's sailors, Yar, what be that out there on the horizon? Me dick have been pulverized by a cricket ball. Yeah, it's very, I don't know. There's something, maybe Ben Stokes channels something from an earlier era. I just particularly enjoyed the ease of calculating the lead when the scores are level on the first innings. Yeah. That's so nice. Good. You go, England have 95. The lead is 95.
And there's also a degree of ease with working out how many overs they've lost as well in this test match, another 8 or so today. And look, I know today was a ball-tearing day. I'm not disputing that, and I don't want to get into the overrate chat again today. But, they're losing a lot of overs in the series, and it's an ongoing thing. And I am looking forward to seeing how that is assessed by ICC when the time comes, as it relates to WTC point deductions.
Yes.
It'll be a bold official to deduct points from India for slow over rates, or from England for slow over rate. It'll be a bold official. Let's just see how these things play out.
I'm gonna nominate Shoaib Bashir's shot when he was dismissed. I'm not sure. I've never seen a shot quite like that before. He walks at Washington Sundar, then tries to play a defensive shot while simultaneously trying to get his back foot back in the crease to make sure he doesn't get stumped, and tries to defend the ball from about 2 metres outside his crease, and misses it and is bowled. It's quite an extraordinary sort of combination of events for someone who is batting while trying not to get his injured hand hit on his left hand. And then the last one would be when Chris Wokes got bowled. This was so Bumrah bowls him, and they've got a shot afterwards of Bumrah sort of in the follow through, starting to celebrate. Next to him is Jofra Archer, who apparently hasn't realised the stumps have been hit because he's trying to take a run. So he's like jogging along with Bumrah next to him with his bat out, sort of looking to pinch the single, thinking that somehow the ball's gone wide of the keeper and like maybe it's deflected off something and they're going to steal an extra. He's about halfway down the wicket before he realises that his batting partner is actually out, because surely a ball that pitched out there couldn't have hit middle, but it did.
Yeah. Got it. Jeff, that's us done. A reminder, 15% off newbury.com/final word. It'll almost certainly not be me tomorrow. I think it'll be probably a couple of weeks at least before I feature on the podcast again today. The reason I'm on, I neglected to mention, get well soon, Ben Jones. Went to leave early today because he's crook. So hopefully Ben's back at HQ in the morning, fit and firing and recording. And then we will see this baby through. It's set up so well.
It's. I will say, from a personal Hall of Fame standpoint, doing 2 test matches simultaneously the last 2 days for daily shows. I've been getting up at 7 a.m. in Jamaica to watch it almost. So then I get the first hour on the sort of replay bit, like save that and then sort of hurry up through the breaks and catch up to watch live play through until about midday, and then go to Sabina Park and then record this show just before the next test match starts, which I then watch and do another daily on.
It's very, very can't stop, won't stop. We have been stretched for resources. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? The very fact that I can talk to you rather than only talk to you by text means a step in the right direction.
Sign language podcast has not gone well.
Yeah, so it's been nice to drop in, but it's probably in my interest that I don't do too much of this for a little while yet. So it'll be a combination of the supporting cast tomorrow at Lords. I'm going to drop in and say hi at Lords tomorrow as well, which will be nice, because I really want to see how this test reaches its conclusion. As I said off the top, this threatens to be one of the great series. So plug in, buckle up, enjoy every moment of it. This is Test cricket, really at its best at the moment, seeing this contest between England and India. We will continue documenting it every single day on The Final Word. If you like what we do, patreon.com/The Final Word. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Catch you tomorrow.
See ya.